What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Cannonballs podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Dane Cannon. Co-hosting with me today is...
Not very happy 49er fan, Jake Bulls on the mic, 1-2. Sorry, I had a little frog in my throat there.
It's all good. Those Chargers fans are right there in the same boat.
Oh, my God. For whatever pay...
I think we're in a smaller boat that's currently sinking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel bad for the Chargers and you. If you guys haven't,
get into it.
Yeah, if you guys haven't, all right. Let's talk about let's tell them what this episode's gonna be about. We'll get into it.
Okay.
Sorry, this is a bad intro. You want to restart this?
No, it's fine, man. All right, guys. So today we're going to be doing our Week 3 recap. You know, we do this every week after the NFL Monday night game. So we're just going to basically go game by game, kind of give our little thoughts and reactions to how the games went and our opinion on them. And so we'll cover the Chargers game that we were just talking about, along with the 49ers game that Jake was referring to earlier. But yeah, let's get started with the Thursday night game, the Thursday slip. Go ahead.
Real quick, if you guys haven't, follow us on Instagram, Cannonballs_podcast. Like and subscribe to our YouTube. Watch the first 5 minutes. If you're still here, thank you. And thank you if you do listen and watch. We really appreciate it. Let's get into it, Dane.
All right, so Thursday night, we had the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Cleveland to play the Browns. And at first glance, if you didn't really watch this game, you'd think that, you know, it wasn't that close of a game, which is not the case. This game was close the entire way. Unfortunately, on a last-ditch effort with a bunch of reverse passes and all that stuff, Cleveland ended up getting a fumble recovery in the end zone, which helped my fantasy team out. Not enough to win. Fuck me, right? Cleveland ended up winning this game 29-17. My initial thoughts on this was, you know, the run offense for Cleveland is still their strong suit. Jacoby Brissett didn't look bad, though. I think Jacoby Brissett had a couple good passes in this game. Both defenses made some big plays, but, you know, ultimately, I think the Steelers' run defense kind of got torched a little bit, especially, you know, why am I blanking on his Nick Chubb? Nick Chubb just torched this defense single-handedly. I mean, Kareem Hunt had a couple carries here and there, but it was mostly Nick Chubb this game that was doing all the damage.
Yeah, Nick Chubb had a game, 23 carries for 113 yards and a touchdown. I was watching this game, and I think Nick Chubb's the best running back in the NFL right now. He never gets hurt, knock on wood. He runs probably better than anyone. I think his only problem is he doesn't really catch the ball out of the backfield. But like just pure running back, like pure runner, I think he's got to be up there like top 5.
I agree. I mean, he's one of the most athletic and most talented backs that you have in the NFL currently. I mean, this guy can juke you out of your shoes. He can hurdle you. He can truck you. He can do everything. He's a full and complete back. He's a bell cow. So, I mean, I can agree with that statement, you know, that sentiment of, you know, he possibly could be the best running back in the NFL currently. I agree with that. He's definitely up there with, like, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey when he's healthy, Derrick Henry. You know, they're all, like, really elite backs in the NFL, and I think he's definitely one of them.
Yeah. Amari Cooper and David Njoku had pretty good games. Amari Cooper, 101 yards and a touchdown on 7 receptions. David Njoku, 9 receptions for 89 yards and a touchdown. And like you said earlier, Jacoby Brissett had a pretty good game. No interceptions. Yeah. Threw for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, you know, you said earlier that their bread and butter is their run game, but, you know, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt when your quarterback can actually be competent and throw some TDs for your team. And, you know, maybe we're sleeping on the Browns a little bit earlier in the season.
I definitely was. I definitely was sleeping on them just because of the whole Deshaun Watson issue that was going on. But, you know, Jacoby Brissett, he's not going to be like your top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, but, you know, he does enough to win games, and he proved it against the Steelers defense. And I think the Steelers defense, for the most part, played a pretty good game, you know, especially without TJ Watt out there. But, I think a lot of it came down to Mitch Trubisky not being able to protect the ball perfectly. And, that offensive line of the Steelers is still troublesome, in my opinion. Najee Harris got a little bit going, but not too terribly much. I mean, Najee Harris had a nasty touchdown run where he just stiff-armed a couple people and then trucks in the end zone. I mean, Najee Harris is a good running back, too. I think he'll be one of the better ones not too far from now.
I think so, too. I just think they're not helping their team at all with that line play. I mean, you already have a suspect quarterback, in charge, and when you don't give him a good line to protect him, he's going to struggle. I thought Mitch Trubisky made some decent plays, and I always forget how mobile Trubisky is. Like, he can move. He's like, I mean, he's not like, Lamar Jackson or anything, but he can get out of the pocket and make people miss. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I honestly didn't think he played that bad of a game. He did miss his receivers a couple times. He threw a throw to George Pickens, who made already probably one of the best catches of the year.
Agreed. That was insane. That's like OBJ 2.0. It really is. Yeah.
If you guys haven't, go look up the highlights of George Pickens' catch. I'm sure you've seen it if you follow any sports pages. But this catch is just insane. He just extends fully backwards to an angle and somehow catches the ball one-handed. So it was a beautiful, beautiful catch. But yeah, I mean, not much else to say. It was a pretty decent game for a Thursday night. So I wasn't actually.
I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was definitely more entertaining than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I was expecting it to not be so good because it was like the Browns and Steelers, but they're division rivals, and throughout the years they've always given us good games. That whole division has, actually. But let's move on to Sunday games, Dane.
Really quick, I do want to point out Jake and I are officially 3-0 when it comes to Thursday night picks. So if you guys wanted to ever bet the money line, feel free to listen to us. We're 3 for 3 right now, so we'll hopefully keep that streak going. 100%.
We are 3-0 on Thursday night and 0 for whatever on every other game. Oh man, I did so bad in my picks this week.
I didn't do terrible. Actually, I think I might have done pretty bad. We'll get into it. I can't remember exactly who I picked, but
I remember. I'll tell you who you picked.
Okay, so we both picked the Browns. I know this game we both picked incorrectly. We have the New Orleans Saints traveling to Carolina to play the Panthers. I will never bet money on Carolina this year. I just do not know what I'm going to get with them, honestly. I mean, their defense stepped up big time. I mean, they had multiple interceptions. Their defense looked good. Offense got going. I don't know what happened to New Orleans. They did not show up this game whatsoever.
Which is crazy because, I mean, listen to the box score. You got Jameis Winston throwing for 353 yards, a touchdown. He did throw 2 interceptions. And then you got Alvin Kamara running for 60 yards, no touchdowns. You got Ingram with a touchdown. And then you got Chris Olave with 147 yards receiving, Traquan Smith with 105. And then the rest of it is just spread out through the wide receiver core. So, like, on paper, you would think that New Orleans would have won this game, but they were shut out until the fourth, like almost the end of the fourth quarter. Like, I think it was halfway through the fourth quarter and they finally got their first points. Yeah, like you said, that Carolina defense, I knew it was, I mean, how will I say this? I'm going to give this win to the Panthers because of division matchup. I don't think the Panthers are like, I don't know. The Panthers are a hard team to predict.
I will not bet on them because you don't know what you're going to get. Yeah, it could be the divisional matchup. They know the New Orleans Saints offensive scheme a little bit here and there. They know the players. They know how they run the routes. It could play a factor, but I mean, you're also getting back Michael Thomas, who you haven't seen in a couple of years. You have Jameis Winston, who you're not too familiar with. I mean, I don't know. I think this defense played really well. I wish I could remember the name of the cornerback for the Panthers who had the interception from South Carolina. He was just drafted,
J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn. Yeah, he looked great. J.C. Horn looked phenomenal. I think he played a really stout game, so good for him. Good for the Carolina Panthers defense. I think they're the reason they won. I mean, their offense was scoring, don't get me wrong. But like you said, New Orleans wasn't really getting on the board until garbage time almost, basically.
Where did their points come from? Because so the Panthers had 22 points, but it says only Laviska Shenault scored a receiving touchdown. Did they score
I know Laviska Shenault had that like 69-yard bomb from Baker. But yeah, I think they had like a pick six, didn't they?
It says they had a touchdown, but I don't know.
I can't recall if it was a pick
scoop and
six or
score?
a fumble. It was something like that. I'd have to go back and watch the game again to remember the specifics. But from initial reaction, this defense is the reason they won the game.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I remember when we were talking about this game last week, I was like, this New Orleans Saints defense is gonna eat. God, I'm it's a bad time because usually we're pretty good with our picks and our takes and stuff. I have not been on it at all. It is a bad time to switch to a strictly football podcast. But no, the Panthers, they freaking smacked the Saints in the mouth, and good for them. That's why I was a little iffy on the Saints this year too, though. Like, I don't know what we're gonna get with the Saints. I know they have a really good defense, but that offense, I don't know. It's hard to trust Jameis with.
Exactly. That's the whole thing that we said during the entire preseason is, we were talking about Jameis Winston. It's going to come down to how well he can play because he's got pieces around him. You got Chris Olave, you got Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. You got good players. You just got to figure out how to get the ball to them correctly without throwing interceptions, which Jameis has struggled with in his past. He struggled with that his entire career in the NFL. He throws interceptions. And, a lot of the times his defense can bail him out as of, most recent memory last year. But, yeah, I don't know. We originally said that New Orleans would kind of be like a middle of the pack team, and I think this game kind of showed that a little bit because I don't think they were expecting to lose this game. But, good job for Carolina. Let's move on to the next one. I know I got this game right. This is the Houston Texans traveling to Chicago because I did pick the Bears.
Stupid. Both the games two out of the three games that we were different in our picks, I lost by like the last second. Like this game all came down to a interception by Davis Mills at the last minute. They had a chance to win. He had an interception on like their own 30, and then the Bears went down and got the game-winning field goal. The Texans didn't look bad. They were playing solid defense.
I'm going to say this. The Houston Texans defense is actually very competitive. Petrie had a nice interception today. Their pass rush gets after the quarterback. Their defense is pretty stout. They're solid. I like them overall. I will say, though, this was not the best performance from Davis Mills. There were a couple key throws that he missed today where I think he wish he would have them back. But, this was definitely a game on the ground. Like, the running attack for both teams was really getting going today.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's easy to say Davis Mills had a bad game because he did cost the game. But look at Justin Fields, man. He was 8 for 17, 106 yards, and 2 interceptions.
Terrible.
I want to switch because we've been everyone was talking shit about Trey Lance and maybe a little bit about Justin, what's his name? Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence and that kind of class of quarterbacks. And, they were kind of giving those two quarterbacks a hard time. I haven't heard anything about Justin Fields. I know he's on a very bad team, but he does not look, I think out of those 5 quarterbacks that were taken in that draft class, I think he's the worst one. And it could be just because he's on the Bears.
They have a terrible offensive line. I will say that about him. But, there are some passes where they're questionable. He sails a lot of balls. Yeah,
a lot of sails. But, I mean, regardless, it was a run game. Both teams ran the ball a lot. What's his name? Damian Pierce.
He had a good game. Herbert had an outstanding game for Chicago. I mean, he was running up and down the field.
Sheesh. 157 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had a hell of a game.
David Montgomery did get hurt early, so that's why he ended up getting the bulk of the carries. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like the Texans, this is another game. This is 3 games the Texans probably should have won. They should have won this game. And then, a costly interception cost Davis Mills the game and cost me the pick. So, thank you.
I will say this, though. Chicago's defense isn't that bad. Chicago's defense stepped up when they needed to. They got after Davis Mills. They made some plays here and there. So I think Chicago's defense is definitely standing out compared to their offense because their offense is abysmal, dude. Their offense is terrible. I mean, they got the ball running this game, so good for them. But I know the Houston Texans have been giving up a lot of yards on the ground. They're pretty decent in the secondary, especially in the passing attack. But when it comes to rushing, they're not very good. So,
okay, I just want to give you some more stats. So on the offense, the Bears, who do you think their top receiving target was?
It wasn't Kmet, was it?
It was.
Was it Kmet?
It was Cole Kmet with 2 receptions and 40 yards receiving. The next one was Darnell Mooney with 2 receptions, 23 yards receiving. Like, huh? But they won? I don't get it. They're 2-1 right now. And they've thrown each game, I think,
under 20.
I know,
20 attempts.
Has it been every game?
I think it's been every game. I know the game that they played Green Bay, I think he only threw it like
I know that one for sure.
13 times?
Yeah. I think they might have thrown a little bit more in the 49ers game, but I don't know how they're winning.
I don't know if they did, though, because it was raining that game. It was raining, so I think
might have to look, but
yeah, look it up really quick because I know that they have not been passing the ball at all, and probably for good reason. The offensive line cannot protect Justin Fields long enough for him to make a good pass, and when he does have time, he's sometimes accurate, but sometimes he sails the ball, like we just talked about.
Yeah. So real quick on the defensive stats, I mean the Texans played we've been saying they've been playing really good defense. They sacked Justin Fields 5 times, 6 tackles for loss. What was another good stat? I mean, and like you said, Jalen Petrie, he's had 2 interceptions.
Yeah. I like Jalen Petrie. I'm pretty sure he came out of Baylor, if I'm not mistaken. Because I liked his college tape. Jalen, and he's fast, dude. He's got good ball handling skills.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say it again. The Texans should have won this game. I mean, they had more offensive output. They had more defensive output. It was just a costly interception. And that's what separates, good teams from bad teams. But not much else to say. I'm going to go look up that stat real quick.
Okay.
I just want to.
While you're looking that up, I'm just going to introduce the next game. So for the next game, we have a shocker, to be honest. I mean, for when we were covering our predictions, I did say I thought this game was going to be closer than people thought it would be. And it ended up being a close game. Yeah, what's up?
All right, so week 1, Justin Fields threw 8 for 17.
So he's only attempted 17.
Week 2, the loss against the Packers, he threw 7 for 11. Yeah. And then week 3, he's thrown 8 for 17. He hasn't thrown more than 20 times in a game.
Yep.
That is absurd. All right, sorry.
You're good. I mean, your receiving core is not very good. Your offensive line is not good. So it makes sense to a certain extent, but they do need to let him throw the ball a little bit more.
How's he going to develop?
They're winning games. So, I mean,
I guess.
Anyway, going back to the next game. So this one, like I already said, I did talk about it in our predictions, how I thought this game was going to be closer than people realized, but I still picked the losing team. We have the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Indianapolis to play the Colts, and there were a couple costly plays for the Chiefs in this game. I think that they probably should have won this game, but they had a couple missed drops. Penalties played a factor. They were leading the Colts pretty much the entire game, and then the Colts came down and won it. I mean, Jonathan Taylor didn't even do too terribly much on the ground. I think Kansas City's defense did a pretty damn good job this game. But, I just think that Kansas City made a couple too many mistakes. They kind of shot themselves in the foot this game. That's my biggest takeaways. Kansas City probably should have won this game, but they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, they definitely should have won this game. I mean, they outplayed the Colts on offense, on defense, and then I'm pretty sure it came down to special teams. With I think didn't the Chiefs have a muffed punt?
Sky Moore muffed the punt and then gave it to Indianapolis like on the 1. I mean, so there was a bad misthrow as well to Travis Kelce. I mean, it wasn't that bad of a misthrow, but like Travis Kelce should have had it. He dropped it. Then they had a couple penalties that like really effed them over. So either way, like good win for Indianapolis. I don't want to take it away from them because their defense did shut down the run. Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire could not do anything on the ground this game. Like Indianapolis's defense was pretty solid. And, you know, the Chiefs only scored 17 points. So your defense definitely stepped up. But the concern that I still have is this offense still doesn't look that good at all. I mean, it seems like Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman. I mean, Alec Pierce had a couple good catches this game. It's about time. I mean, rookie out of Cincinnati. He's looking good when he gets targeted. But Matt Ryan, I don't know if it's just because of his age or like if he's just not as athletic as he used to be, but something doesn't seem right. The offense isn't that great, but, you know, they got to win. And it was against the Kansas City Chiefs, who Jake and I both had number 2 in our power rankings last week. So it's a good win. Win at home. Yeah. I kind of wish it was a little bit more dominant fashion, but, you know, a win's a win.
Also, there was one of the costly plays in this game was Kansas City lined up to take a field goal. Something went wrong with the snap, and they had to try to throw it. So it was a turnover on downs. So they didn't come down with some points. So yeah, this was more of Kansas City, like you said, shooting themselves in the foot. But you know, good job for the Colts for getting their first win. That rare 1-1-1 record.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's move on.
All right, next game was a good one, but also a surprising one. We had the Buffalo Bills traveling to Miami, and Miami won this game. The
Best game of the week.
Dolphins won 21-19. I thought this game was going to be a lot more high scoring than it was, but I think the Bills, man, they're racking up the injuries too.
Yeah,
especially on the defensive side of the ball. And I know exactly how that feels because the Chargers are in the same boat. But
they had quite a bit of injuries on offense too. I think it was 2 of their offensive linemen got hurt.
I believe so.
And then Tua got hurt like the second quarter. That was a weird injury.
That was strange because he straight up collapsed, and then I think there was some issue. It was. I think there was some issue whether they actually went through the whole concussion protocol or not, or if they just sent him out there, which it kind of seems like they said, F it, get out there.
Yeah, so what they said
was like a neck injury or something.
Yeah, what they said was it was a previous hit, and it was something wrong with his back that caused them to like collapse like that. I don't know. Well, the NFLPA is gonna get down. They're gonna investigate it and figure out what really happened. But Tua came back and Tua doesn't look bad.
No, not at all. I think the connection. I think having 2 speedy receivers who can stretch out the field, it opens up. They get separation, so he's not having to make all these tight window throws. Mm-hmm. And I think that's helping him because at Alabama, that's what he's used to. All the receivers are getting open because they're the fastest. They run the best routes. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are menaces out there. So, I mean, Tua looked good. Josh Allen still did not have a bad game. He threw for over 400 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure he threw but he also threw the ball 63 or 53 times. Like he threw it in a certain amount.
Yeah, 42 for 63, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I think Devin Singletary was actually the leading receiver, if I'm not mistaken. No?
Josh Allen was with 47 yards.
No, the leading receiver.
Sorry. Yeah, he was 78 yards receiving.
Yeah, and I think that kind of plays down to the weather a little bit. It's hot in Miami. It's humid. You're throwing the ball 63 times. Mm-hmm. Your receivers are going to be gassed. They're going to be freaking gassed.
Well, did you see Did you see Josh Allen and Tua hugging at the end of the game? Josh Allen looked beat. Like he looked.
Oh, I'm sure.
Up. It's crazy. I mean, good job for the Dolphins. I think they're a surprise.
Defense stepped up big.
Yeah, no, their defense is legit. But they've had a good defense for the last several years. It was all about Tua for me and you. And Tua's actually stepping up. So I'm glad to see it. And this team's a legit playoff team, I think, if they can keep this up. But the Bills had a chance to win this game at the end with the butt punt.
Yeah, that was interesting. And also, this game was kind of weird with the butt punt, and then also the offensive coordinator for Buffalo losing his mind on TV.
Yeah, Isaiah McKenzie, you got to get out, man, or get down so you can clock the ball. He I don't know what he was doing. He tried to go back in instead of going out of the bounds. This shit happens all the time. I feel like, he's a rookie. He made a rookie mistake, but you got to get out and or at least get down sooner so you can clock the ball.
It's so funny because Erica saw that and she's like, "That would be you if you were a coach." I was like, "Yeah, probably. I'd probably be throwing shit too."
Hell yeah, dude! Freaking what? I didn't think they would lose this early in the. I thought they would go at least 8-0.
Yeah, I thought that they were gonna. Or even the Cardinals last year, going 8-0. But for me, yes, Tua was the X factor on offense, but this defense caused a couple fumbles. Josh Allen was getting tossed around a little bit. He gave up, I think, 2 fumbles on the ground, if I'm not mistaken. I know that Melvin Ingram caused one of them, or he recovered one of them. But this defense stepped up. The Dolphins look good. They're 3-0. And if you guys stick around for our power rankings, which will be released in a couple days after this, then you'll see where I put the Dolphins.
Yes.
Jake, did you have anything else to say about this game?
Both these teams will be fine. I still think the Bills are the best team in the AFC. But
absolutely. Absolutely.
it was a good. I think it was a good lesson in gravity. For the Bills, I like when teams that are this good lose, to
because it forces you to look at yourself and just be all right, what happened? We're not invincible. Yeah. It's kind of like a reality check. All right, we got to stick with it. I am a little bit worried with the injuries that they are racking up, though. Hopefully, they're not as serious as some of the teams, which we will cover in a little bit. But I got to keep an eye on the injuries. I still think Buffalo is going to be a force to be reckoned with, though.
Yeah.
All righty. Moving on. Oh, man, this one was heartbreaking. We have the Detroit Lions traveling to Minnesota to play the Vikings. Detroit had this game in the bag, and
they were kicking Minnesota's ass. They were kicking Minnesota's ass.
Very Detroit-like. They just gave up the lead, and their defense looked solid through 3 quarters, maybe 3.5, and then they just blew it. This offense looked good. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamal Williams. Is that his name? Jamal Williams?
Yeah.
Running back. He had a hell of a game this game. Jared Goff looked solid. The defense was good. And then
he actually threw for more yards than Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, then they just
77 to 260.
They just boofed it. They just took it up the pooper.
KJ Osborne of all people scored the game-winning touchdown.
Was Justin Jefferson injured?
No, dude. He was just locked the fuck up.
Yeah,
this fool had. I think this is probably the worst game in Justin Jefferson's young career. 3 for 14.
Who was guarding him? Was it Okuda?
Probably
Jeffrey Okuda.
That's who I didn't watch. Obviously, I didn't watch every game. I've got Red Zone, but I'm pretty sure that I think that's their best cornerback. The Lions should have won this game.
I agree 100% because I think I picked the Lions to win this game, right?
No, we both picked the Vikings. You wanted to pick the Lions, but you ended up picking the Vikings.
Got you. Okay.
I'll tell you when we pick different teams to win.
Okay, but Minnesota, it's a good comeback win. They looked like poop the first half, and then starting of the third quarter, their defense stepped up when they needed to. The Lions had this in the bag. It's an unfortunate loss. It's kind of like they had their foot on the gas pedal and then they just let up. And as soon as they let up, that's when the Vikings came back and then just took advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they won this game. I still think Detroit should have won this. Detroit could honestly be 2-1. I think they could even be 3-0. I mean,
think they could be 3-0.
Yeah, I think their offense looks good. Defense gives up some points here and there, though.
Yeah, the way they played the Eagles, they could definitely beat them. But they're a young team. They're a very young team. I think their most veteran player is Jared Goff. Like, if I'm
probably
Jared Goff, and then probably Jamal Williams.
How long has Jamal Williams been in the league?
Like 5, maybe. He's been on. I mean, he was in Green Bay for like 4 or 5 years. So maybe 3 or 4 years. But I mean, still, like, it goes Goff and then him. I mean, and then T.J. Hawkinson. Like, he's like a second year, or he's like a third year tight end. But yeah, it's a young team. They'll get it together. I think they're gonna win a lot more games than people think.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. If you guys are Detroit fans listening to this, I'm rooting for you guys this year. I really want Detroit to like just prove people wrong. You guys have players. You have playmakers everywhere. So hopefully the Lions can figure it out and not give up huge leads. But let's move on to the next game. We have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to New England. And I will say this, New England's offense looked better. You know, Devontae Parker looked good. Nelson Aguilar looked better. Ramondre Stevenson looked good. Mac Jones was throwing the ball around. I feel for you New England fans. I am so upset that Mac Jones got injured on like one of the last plays of the game.
Yeah,
and it was like an ankle, right?
Yeah, it's a high ankle strain. Most likely going to miss a couple games. So, this game was back and forth. And I think the Patriots got up on the Broncos like in the 4th. And
you mean the Ravens?
I knew it was a B team, Baltimore. Yeah, they got up on Baltimore, and then the Ravens came back, and then they got the lead, and then it was just mistakes by the Patriots or really good defensive plays because I think they got like an interception, and then
there were a couple interceptions that Mac Jones threw, I believe.
Right? Yeah, he threw 3 interceptions. Jesus.
Yeah, Baltimore Ravens stepped up today. I mean, it was a good win. This was a competitive game. I mean, Lamar Jackson looks great. Devin Duvernay, Rashad Bateman, they look good, man. They're a good duo right now in the NFL.
Mark Andrews. I think Lamar's in the lead for MVP as of now. I know it's only week 3, but he
looks great. Lamar looks back to like his MVP form when he did win MVP in like 2018?
19.
Yeah.
No, he looks great. He's throwing the ball accurate. He's running, Lamar like. But we picked this one and we picked the Ravens. So
and
I still got that bet, so I'm rooting extra hard against the Patriots. So
yeah,
good job,
if you're
Baltimore.
Listening to this, Minnesota won, by the way. All right, guys, let's move on to the next game. We have the Cincinnati Bengals finally getting back on track against the New York Jets, 27-12. Jake and I both picked the Bengals, even though they were 0-2, rocky start. It just seemed more likely that the Bengals were going to win this one, and they did. Tyler Boyd had a hell of a reception this game. That touchdown run was insane.
Dude, I thought he got rocked so hard. Like, I thought he was down. And then he spun around and kept running, and I was like, Jesus, that's a man right there. That was a sick play, man. Good. I have a little soft spot in my heart for Tyler Boyd because he helped me win a fantasy championship, my first one ever. So, T. Boyd, if you're listening to this, thank you.
But yeah, Joe Burrow got back on track. This entire team just looked a lot better. The defense stepped up. Offense looked good. I wish I could say the same thing for the other side of the ball. New York definitely struggled offensively this game. Joe Flacco definitely didn't have his best game of the season by any means. But, New York, they have flashes. Like, they really do have flashes where, like, the team looks good. And then you are kind of reminded why they're one of the lower teams in our power
Yeah.
rankings, because then they have like some plays you're like, dude, that was really bad. But it's good to see the Bengals getting back on track, 1-2 now. Same with the New York Jets.
Yeah. Jets are a young team. They're a young team.
I think Garrett Wilson's going to be a great receiver in the future. I think he's pretty good now.
He is really good, or he's going to be really good. And then Breece Hall's been stepping up the last couple games. Yeah. So, they're going to have a nice little 1-2 punch in the backfield. It's just they got to figure out how to win games. I think that's the hardest part about like these bottom tier teams. Like they may have talent, but they just don't know how to win, if that makes sense. But good job for the Bengals. I'm glad you guys didn't go 0-3, or I would have been seriously questioning your team right now. But good job on the win. You needed it. You needed it just in time.
Yes. Speaking of 0-3, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, excuse me, traveling to Tennessee.
If you guys don't know,
that one out.
This is a little joke we have about the murderers. Sorry, the Raiders. It's just, last year they had a lot of criminal activity on their team, and it's always fun to make fun of people. So, in a fun, jokingly way.
Getting back to the game, this game was not as close as the score shows, in my opinion. I think Tennessee had this one for the most part. Derrick Henry finally looked better. Ryan Tannehill played a decent game. The defense was getting after Derek Carr. The defense was making a lot of good plays. The Raiders, I'm surprised to see at 0-3. Honestly, I thought that they would have at least won one game by now. I mean, they haven't had the easiest schedule.
Yeah, no, they
hard schedule, but still, they got to figure it out.
Would they play the healthy Chargers? Would they play the Cardinals? Okay, they should have beat the Cardinals, and then they probably should have beat the Titans. Honestly, they had a chance to win at the end. They were coming back. I mean, you said it wasn't a close game. They were down like 2 scores pretty much the entire time, and then they came back. Okay, Mac Collins, I think his name is.
Yeah,
dude, he's freaking. Is he a rookie? Because I've never heard of him.
I don't know if he's a rookie, but yeah, I hadn't heard of him until this year either.
Bro, 158 yards receiving. I think. Yeah. I mean,
is he a receiver or is he a tight end?
I think he's a wide receiver.
Is he?
He is a. Oh wow, he was drafted in 2017 by Philadelphia. Interesting.
Well, he's balling out for the Raiders, so good for him. I mean, Josh Jacobs looked good as well. Devontae Adams stepped up on a couple key plays, but
this game caught. I mean, it was Derek Carr. I think he threw an interception at the end or he missed it or something. It was Derek Carr's fault, and he throws timely interceptions, man. Like, I mean, I know they just signed. I know the Raiders just signed Derek Carr to a big contract and everything, but I mean, the thing that's going to hinder and stop this team is Derek Carr. And then I don't know about Josh McDaniels. Maybe it's just the whole like new coach and a whole new system,
It could be.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't looked that good.
I mean, if I think about 2017 as a Chargers fan, when Anthony Lynn was first hired, we started that season 0-4, and we almost made playoffs that year. We went 9-7. We only ended up losing 3 games after that the entire season. So I'm not saying that it's going to happen for the Raiders, but, there is hope. I mean, it's not impossible to turn the season around. It is only the first chunk of the season, but you do have to figure it out. I mean, you guys have lost close ball games, especially the Arizona one. Like Jake already said, that game should have probably ended in their favor, but then they blew the lead. And then they almost came back and won this game, but they didn't. And, I think one of the issues is the Raiders' offensive line. I think that that's going to play a factor in the upcoming season. I think that that's going to be kind of their downfall in a way, offensively, and Derek Carr, because I think that if he's getting pressured so much and rushed so much, he's not going to make the timely throws that he needs to, or he's not going to anticipate it correctly. He's going to kind of throw it into double, triple coverage and kind of screw him over.
Yeah, they had a lot of offensive like holding and penalties and stuff like that. So, yeah, they just got to step up. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll win. The thing is, I don't think they'll make playoffs at this point because if you're 3 games behind in that division, I think they might take third. And that's only because the Chargers are, well, we'll talk about it, are very
coming
badly
up pretty
injured.
soon. Yeah.
But I don't see them. I mean, the Broncos don't look that hot either, but I definitely don't see them being better than the Chiefs as of now. So,
no, I don't think. I think this is the Chiefs division yet again. I hate to say it. I mean, they just look like the most complete team, and they're one of the healthiest teams. So,
yep. Health is wealth. But Raiders, I'm sorry, but you're probably the best 0-3 team ever.
I mean, the talent's there. They have talent everywhere. But yeah, good win for the Titans. Finally, good to see the Titans get a win. Derrick Henry looked a lot better. Defense stepped up. All right, next game we have the Philadelphia Eagles dominating the Washington Commanders. It's kind of interesting because Devontae Smith looked great. What's interesting for me though is this was kind of a tale of two halves. Like the Eagles were dominating the first half, and not that the Commanders were dominating the second half, but the offense kind of just disappeared in a way. Like they would have big splash plays, but then couldn't capitalize on it. I think all 24 of their points were scored in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. It was either that or I don't think they scored anything in the fourth. But either way, the Eagles' defense, dude, how many sacks did they have this game? I think they had like 8 sacks.
9.
9 sacks. That's insane.
Jeez Louise.
Defensive line ate Carson Wentz alive.
Jesus.
Maybe they just missed him. Maybe they just wanted to show him a little bit of love. Just be like, we missed you in Philly.
No revenge for you, Carson. Sorry.
Yeah, no. Jalen Hurts looks good. Devontae Smith looks good. A.J. Brown looks good. This Eagles team, this defense looks great right now. And, dude, this Eagles team is legit.
Oh, yeah.
Best bold prediction I've ever had during a preseason.
Yeah, I liked it too. And like the more we talked about it, I mean, their schedule was, I believe, middle of the pack.
I think it was pretty easy, honestly. I think it was like one of the lower difficulty strength of schedules.
Yeah, so when you're a really good team and you have an easier schedule, that sometimes is what you need to, get yourself past the hump. So they look really good. I mean, I said Lamar Jackson was MVP. Front runner. If it's not him, it's definitely Jalen Hurts. These two have just been balling out. Jalen Hurts, he was like, I've never been big on Jalen Hurts the last couple of years. I just didn't think he was that great of a passer, but he got it together. Like he looks good, man. And it helps when you have a former Heisman in Devontae Smith, and then
AJ
one
Brown,
of the biggest
freak of nature.
One of the biggest receivers in the NFL right now. And then the run game's getting going. Jalen Hurts is an awesome runner as well. And then that defense, like you said. So, yeah, they just completely manhandled the Commanders. They didn't get points until the very end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I still think the Commanders have weapons. I think they're better than this. But
they're definitely one of the lower tier teams, in my opinion, as of right now. They just need to figure it out defensively as well. I mean, they showed what they can do in the second half of this game, because I don't think that the Eagles scored like more than 3 points in the second half. I could be wrong. Maybe it wasn't all in the first half, but I'm pretty sure the Eagles scored all their points in the first half. Maybe when Chase Young, because Chase Young is still out, correct?
Yeah.
Am I tripping? Okay, yeah. When Chase Young gets back, maybe it'll improve the defense significantly. We'll just have to wait and see. But
it's got to.
Washington, they can be competitive in some games, but I think this is just a testament to how good the Philadelphia Eagles are this year.
I think they're probably like out of like the bottom 7 teams, they're probably the best, but they'll probably lose to some of those teams if they played them. I don't know.
I think Washington's one of those teams that could potentially upset some good teams, but then they could also just have meatball games and just lose to anyone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're like the Panthers to me. You know, weapons, some defensive players, but they're just very difficult to predict, and I'm not going to do it. So don't bet on those two teams. Let's move on.
All right. Worst game for me to personally talk about. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars with the biggest ass beating of the week against my boys, the Chargers. Jake, I'll let you start this one off because I definitely have a couple things that I want to mention.
Well, I mean, if you guys don't know, I know you do, Dane. The Chargers were already pretty injured going into this game, and they got more injured going out of this game. This game was a complete bloodbath for the Chargers, and honestly, it's very sad because on paper at the beginning of the season, the Chargers were, potential Super Bowl contenders. Like a lot of people like them, including me, but very unlucky, very, very unlucky. I think like 8 or 9 starters got hurt in this game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dane, but
I will have to count them, but there were a significant amount. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the Jags, they took advantage. They took advantage of a hurt Chargers team, and they dominated them every phase of the game. Special teams, defense. The defense looked phenomenal.
The defense looked great. I will say that, like, Chargers couldn't do anything offensively, and I don't know if it's play calling, if Justin Herbert's injury is affecting him in a certain way, but I'll get into it when I mention shit. But go ahead and finish what you were saying, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, and Trevor Lawrence looked really good. He looked like the quarterback we all thought he could be. And then the run game was going. James Robinson, dude, he tore his ACL last year. Was it his Achilles or his ACL?
I think it was his. I don't remember, to be honest. It was a significant injury, though. Yeah.
So, and it was later in the season, and for him to come back and he's been balling out these first 3 weeks. Yeah. And I think he's rushed for 100 yards in each game. Someone dropped him in one of my fantasy leagues, and I needed a running back, and I picked him up. Yeah, boy.
Nice.
But
he had that huge 50-yard run against the Chargers on a fourth down.
On fourth down, and then Travis Etienne, dude, he looks like a little speedy back. I like the change of pace for them. I like how they don't really use Etienne like as a workhorse. I like how they give it to James Robinson, and then they
pass the ball to Etienne a lot more than they do James Robinson. He's more of like a receiving type scat back, but it works in their favor.
But the only thing I'll say, like, good job to the Jaguars. I'm not taking anything away from you guys, but this was a very, very injured Chargers team. I mean, you had freaking Justin Herbert out there with freaking broken cartilage. Like, I don't know how much it affected his game. I'm sure it had a little effect. And then that's where, like, the question has to come in. Should he have just, rested in this game? I don't know. Good job for the Jags. You guys destroyed the Chargers, unfortunately. And but I'll say this, like, I don't know how much – I think the Jaguars have improved a lot, but to beat the Chargers 38 to what, 10?
Yep, 38 10.
Yeah. I don't know if they've improved that much. So let's, maybe, like, bring it back a little bit from, like, reality. I think it was a good win for sure, but I don't know how much of that was caused by the injuries. But that's all I want to say.
Okay. So I definitely think injuries played somewhat of a factor, but that's not the point of emphasis I'm going to go for. I think this came down to, like, will to play and coaching. Like, Doug Peterson completely outcoached Brandon Staley in this game. Staley had no response. I mean, yes, we did have injuries in almost every quarter and injuries that we had previously, but it's next man up mentality. You have to be able to come in there and at least do a freaking, like, above average performance, or at least be average. We could not do anything. We were getting ran on. Sebastian Joseph Day, I don't know what the hell is going on with him. Like, we got him in free agency to help this run defense. He hasn't been stepping up. Our secondary was getting torched. We weren't making tackles. Same old, same old. We had that 50-yard run against us on 4th and 1. and then they took it to the house. Zay Jones looked good. Christian Kirk looked good. Trevor Lawrence, like you already said, looked good. And this was a defense that the Chargers were stopping opposing offenses significantly. 3 interceptions against Derek Carr, like 5 sacks, and then against Patrick Mahomes held him to like under 30 points, or I don't know how well we did it defensively that game, but it was pretty significant. And then this game was just like you said, a bloodbath. Rashawn Slater out for the season, torn bicep tendon. Joey Bosa goes out. Joey Bosa is going to miss significant time with a pretty severe groin injury, according to Brandon Staley. Kenneth Murray gets injured. Jalen Guyton tears his ACL, so he's out for the season, which is our deep threat. And that was such a beautiful pass that Herbert connected with him on. And that's what we needed. We needed big plays like that. And then, Justin Herbert's already injured. Keenan Allen was out. J.C. Jackson was out. Josh Palmer got injured near the end for a little bit. It was just, we had no response. The next man up did not come in and help out. But I think this was play calling. I don't know if I would put the blame more on Lombardi, because this offense has not lived up to expectation. They were a top 5 offense last year, and they are pretty bad. This run offense is abysmal. We cannot rush the ball.
22 yards running for Sony Michel. Eckler only had 5 yards of rushing.
Yep.
That's all I wanted to say about that. Keep going.
I mean, that's pretty much it. The Chargers need to figure it out. I mean, there's no way they're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year. I mean, I'm just going to be a realist right now. I don't even know if they're going to make playoffs anymore. It sucks to say because, as fans, we always get so hyped up. We get so excited for the next year. And then just within 3 weeks, it feels like it's just out the door. Just gone. Like, so hyped, made all these splash signings during free agency, drafted kind of okay, but not great. But, we already had a stacked team. We were riding the train from last year. We beat the Raiders week 1. All right, feeling good. And then it's just out the window. I don't know if Brandon Staley's the answer. It's probably too early to tell still. Give him the rest of the season. But it's going to be hard with these injuries, and it's going to be hard with the way we're playing. We're going to have to step up. If we lose to Houston, I'm going to start pointing some fingers at the coaching staff, and I'm just going to be like, you guys need to explain what's going on. If you lose to Houston, I don't care how many injuries you have. You should beat Houston.
I don't know, man. That Houston defense has been playing nasty. And
that's what I'm saying.
Honestly, we'll talk about it later, but I think that the Chargers can be on upset watch next week, especially with your best player, Justin Herbert. He's injured. He was big. He was able to make the ball throws. I just don't know if that is affecting him. Because, if you're injured, it's going to affect the way you play. So, I wouldn't say the season's completely over. I want to see what Justin Herbert – this is going to be a good test for Justin Herbert. We're going to see what Justin Herbert can really do without the pieces around him, without, probably one of the top left tackles in the game for how young he is, which is crazy. But this is going to be a good test for – what's your guys' coach again?
Brandon Staley.
Yeah, for your head coach, your OC, and Justin Herbert. So it sucks. I know the feeling when everybody gets freaking hurt, a.k.a. 49ers 2020 season. It sucks when you have Super Bowl aspirations, but yeah, it's they're like borderline. They're borderline not a playoff team for me as of now, unfortunately. Yeah, but it sucks. There's nothing you can do about injuries. I do think injuries are a big. It's look at Alabama. Alabama has all these top players, and then they play teams like Rice. It's the same thing. You can't have top level talent go up against, third stringers, and yeah, it sucks. But that's all I got to say about this game. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
No, I think this was a dominant win for the Jags, though. I think that they look good. I think Doug Peterson's really turning this organization around. And you'll actually see where I have them in my power rankings. I think it'll surprise you. All right, moving on to the next game. We have the Los Angeles Rams traveling to Arizona to play the Cardinals. First and foremost, Jalen Ramsey looked like Jalen Ramsey this game. He definitely had a lot of nice tackles, broken passes. The defense stepped up. Offense looked okay. Cooper Kupp looked great, obviously. But I'm a little concerned with the Cardinals. Their offense is struggling without D-Hop. DeAndre Hopkins really is the difference. Like, without him out there, they're not that good.
They look terrible. I've said this. I've been saying it. The Cardinals are going to struggle, and I've been proven right. And they do miss D-Hop. Like, I honestly, I think Kyler Murray is probably one of the worst quarterbacks to have gotten a huge contract. I don't think Kyler Murray is that good. The way he just chucks it up there, it honestly looks like he's just chucking it. Like, he does make really good plays. He's really good with his legs, but then he makes plays where he just goes backwards and gets sacked for 15 yards.
He definitely has some head scratching plays and some iffy judgment and like ball placement. I do agree with that, but he also has plays where like, wow, that's freaking amazing. Like, not many players can make that pass. I just think he's too inconsistent. That's my thing about him.
Yeah, I think he's inconsistent. I think the head coach is inconsistent. I think the Cardinals are inconsistent. I mean, let's be honest. They played the Rams. The Rams are a good team. It's a division game. But they didn't even put up a touchdown. Oh, did they? Did they score a touchdown? No, they didn't. It was 4 field goals. They didn't get a touchdown. I mean, yeah, I guess they tried to make a little comeback at the end. But, I mean, when your top receiver is Hollywood Brown.
Greg Dortch? It was Hollywood?
Well, I mean, I would say their number one. Well, I mean, could be Greg Dortch now. But, I mean, I would say their number one is Hollywood, right? And then I don't think Hollywood's a number one. I think he's a good number 2. And once D-Hop comes back and they actually start getting into the flow of things, the Cardinals might come back, but we're going to see how many games they can win without him because he's out for 6? It's halfway there.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see. The Cardinals are just very mediocre to me right now. I think
I agree, unfortunately. I think they had a great win against the Raiders. I mean, that was a good comeback win, but, didn't look great against Kansas City by any means. They got their doors blown off. And then this game, I don't think the score was as close as it really was. I mean, the Rams seemed to have control of this game the entire way through.
Yeah, and even the Raiders win. They looked terrible until the last quarter, which, good for them. They got it together in the last quarter, but it was kind of looking like the same thing in this Rams game, but they just never could figure it out. It's the Rams. Rams are a good team, let's be honest. So hopefully the Cardinals can figure it out. I don't know though. I don't know at this point. They haven't really. Yeah, we will see.
We will see. All right, next game we have the Atlanta Falcons. Woo! Finally getting a win against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. They finally utilized Kyle Pitts. Good for them. Drake London looked great. Yeah. Marcus Mariota did things on the ground. Defense stepped up. The Atlanta Falcons are a scrappy ball club, dude.
Dude, Cordell Patterson had 141 yards rushing.
What was Kyle Pitts' stat line?
I think it was 87. Yeah, 5 for 87.
That's good for once. Jeez, man.
He was their leading receiver.
Finally throwing him the ball, which he deserved. I mean, he is one of the most gifted tight ends. Yeah. He's like a receiver. He's like a Darren Waller, but faster. Yeah.
I like the Falcons.
They look good.
I like
they're
the
a scrappy
Falcons.
ball club.
I think out of all the lower tier teams, I'm rooting for them the most because Mariota, like I said last week, I think this is the best Mariota's looked in years.
Right.
They have pieces: Patterson, Pitts,
Drake London.
I always mix Drake London and Olave together, but they got Drake London, and then next year they're going to get Calvin Ridley back. So I think the worst part about this team is the defense, but even sometimes the defense steps up.
They stepped up this game, in my opinion. I think the defense made plays when they needed to. I mean, they can actually rush the quarterback decently, and they had one of the worst defensive lines in the last couple of years. So I think that they're stepping up when they need to. I mean, they're not a top tier team by any means, but I think they could play upset in a lot of matchups this year. And,
Definitely.
I was just going to say, going to the other side of the ball, Seattle didn't look terrible. I mean, Geno Smith made some plays. DK Metcalf had a hell of a catch. Kenneth Walker actually had a really good rush today, and the defense had a couple big plays. But this was a fun, entertaining game, in my opinion. It was.
I agree, dude. I was like, it's usually when these like bad teams, like the Texans Bears one was, I thought, pretty entertaining as well.
Yeah, agreed.
When these like evenly matched bad teams fight each other or play each other, it's always fight. Football is a fight. It's always a fun little thing to watch. But I like the Falcons, man. I do a lot, actually. Arthur Smith has looked better.
He's looked better. He's looked a lot better.
I was really giving so much about you anymore.
I was talking so much smack about him during the preseason, but yeah, the Falcons they're looking good. I think they're looking better than a 1-2 team as of right now, but they just got to make sure that they don't give up leads. I think that that's something that could bite them in the butt. They have had problems with that in the past. But yeah, I think Seattle played better than I was expecting their offense to look. I'm happy that Kenneth Walker finally got utilized. I feel like he showed like why he was a top tier running back in last year's or this most recent draft. I mean, he had a good rush, man. He had a really good run. Tyler Lockett looked good. DK Metcalf looked good. Geno Smith looked better than I've given him credit for in the past, but it was a good game. I don't think either of these teams are going to be playoff teams. I think that they could play upset and maybe be like a 6-7 win team, maybe 8. But
I see that. I don't see. I mean, when we're picking games, I don't think the Seahawks are going to be the last place team like I picked them to be. Honestly, I don't know who at this point, because I mean, the only no-win teams are the Raiders and the Texans. So, and I don't see the Texans not winning at least 2 games, honestly.
Agreed.
So,
agreed.
Yeah, no, this was a fun one for sure. I enjoyed watching it.
Yep. Unlike this next game, which was kind of boring, we have the Green Bay Packers traveling to Tampa Bay to play the Bucs. Bucs offense, I know they've played 3 really good defenses, but this offense is not doing anything. I know that offensive line is beat up. I know Mike Evans wasn't out there. I know Chris Godwin is out. So that's definitely playing a factor, but they have not scored. I don't think they've scored more than 20 points yet. I don't think that they've gotten to 20 in any of the games they've played.
I think you're right. I think they only scored 1 touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns in the last 3 games. No, it was 3 touchdowns. I think they've only scored 1 touch in a game. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, Broncos look bad. And I know, like you said, it's
wait, Broncos or Bucks?
God damn, it's the Bucks. Why am I kidding? Why am I mixing up these B teams?
Any B teams, the Broncos tonight.
Oh my goodness. No, the Bucks don't look that good. The only reason,
their defense looks good though.
Yeah, their defense looks great. It's just their defense looks great, and that's really it. Like, it's a lot of dink and dunk to Leonard Fournette. He actually looks the best rushing I've seen him in a while. He looks pretty good. Like, he's been making moves. Like, he's just like a bowling ball out there. But
I like Leonard Fournette, and I think that getting Mike Evans back, because obviously he only had the 1 game suspension, I think that'll help. I don't know how long Chris Godwin's going to be out, but once he's healthy, if he's healthy, that obviously adds another factor for Tom Brady. I think they're starting tight ends also out, but Tampa Bay, they are dealing with injuries. The defense is still solid. I mean, they held the Packers to 14 points. Aaron Jones didn't really do anything this game. Romeo Doubs, however, actually looked pretty good, and I drafted him in fantasy and sat him on my bench, and he got me 17 points. I probably would have won if I had played him, but yeah, Romeo Doubs looked good. That's pretty much it. I mean, Randall Cobb had a couple nice catches, but other than that, it was a very heavily defensively schemed game. The defenses carried both these teams 14-12. That's very low scoring. Not as low scoring as the next one, but good win for the Packers. I did pick the Packers to win this one.
I picked the Bucks, and you know what? Again, the Bucks had a chance to at least go to overtime and then get it together. Freaking what's it called? Delay of game. Backs them up 5 yards, and then gosh, so stupid. Like two of the games that we differ on, I just lost by like this much.
A very small margin. Game of inches.
Yeah, so that's what she said. But this game was boring as hell. Honestly, these next 2 games were boring as hell. Actually, the last 3 games of the freaking week were pretty boring. But let's get into Sunday night, right?
Yep, let's do it. Do you want me to go first since
you can. I mean, I really don't have a whole lot to say.
Let me just say this. This was one of the weirdest scoring games, 11 points. 11-10. What in the hell? I mean, so we have the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Denver to play the Broncos. This was even more of a defensive game. I honestly think the 49ers defense looked better than Denver's defense. I think Denver had a lot of penalties that helped them in this game. I think that the 49ers got just ridiculed by how many penalties were thrown. Like, they were just getting thrown left and right, in my opinion. Jimmy G definitely had some questionable throws. He also had some pretty good ones, dropped a couple in the breadbasket, but the running attack couldn't really get going. But yeah, I don't have much to say other than the fact that I think San Francisco personally should have won this game. They looked better the entire game that I watched it. I don't know, man. It was a tough breaking loss. I mean, that last it was a fumble, right? Like a forced fumble at the end. Receiver caught it. Yeah. Was it Wilson. It Debo? Oh, it was Wilson.
No, it was Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Defense, phenomenal. That's a top 5 unit right there. Easily. Like, I'll fight anybody who thinks otherwise. That's a top 5 unit. Kept them in the game the whole game. The first drive where the 49ers scored the first touchdown of the game. I was like, oh hell yeah, let's go. They went down easily.
Only touchdown.
Their only touchdown, and then nothing else from there. Nothing. I saw this stat. This was the first time a team has won, or something where the Broncos had like 4 more 3-and-outs and they still won. Some weird stat like that. The 49ers should have won this game, but they stop them. The 49ers awesome defense stops them. Jimmy G freaking throws an interception. Then they have to stop them again, use all their timeouts. I think we had 1 timeout left. And then did a little dink and dunk. Probably would have gone like 20 yards off of it, maybe 15. And Jeff Wilson just gets stripped. So it was an unfortunate way to end the game. But the whole offense just looked terrible. I don't know. These last couple of years, I'm just used to this. Like, the defense is good, and then the offense just doesn't know how to get it together. And I was thinking about it. This is pretty much Jimmy G's like preseason. He didn't get a preseason. He didn't get a camp. He definitely looks. I mean, he looked good last week but it was the Seahawks, even though it was a rival or a division rival, whatever. But I think the Broncos are a lot better, or at least on offense. So, I know they'll get it together. I'm not too worried, honestly. But, I mean, I'm a little worried because Trent Williams is out for 4 to 6 weeks, I believe.
Weeks, yeah.
So that's very unfortunate. It's gonna hurt. And 49ers, if you're listening to this, never put Jalen Moore on the line again. This is like a draft pick that we had last year, I believe. And this dude is garbage. Like, he's gonna get someone killed. He literally, those plays like where the lineman doesn't block anybody,
Yeah.
He did it
He's
for
like a swinging door. It just lets him in.
But he didn't even touch anybody. He just went. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing out there. And then he was in for one drive, and it was a 3-and-out, and he wasn't in the game again. So yeah, never let him play on the offensive line again, unless it's like, we really need him. But they couldn't get the run game going. It's hard. The 49ers are a run team. If they don't get the run going, they're going to struggle. I mean, Jimmy's not the quarterback to where we want to put it in his hands. This is why they made the move to get Trey Lance, because Jimmy's not. He's not
an explosive quarterback, is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
he's good in the intermediate and shallow, but when it comes to the deep ball, he can make a deep ball throw. But consistently, I wouldn't say that he has the athletic tool set to make that happen consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't have much more to say. It was a tough loss. 49ers should have won. I will say this. The Broncos still don't look good to me.
Yeah.
Their defense looks good.
Their defense looked good, and the only player that I will mention on the offensive side of the thing, or on the offensive side of the ball, is Courtland Sutton. He looked good. But Jerry Jeudy had a huge freaking drop. I mean, Jerry Jeudy's struggled with drops his entire NFL career, even though it's a short time in the NFL. Yeah. He drops passes like crazy. I mean, he had one hit him right in the hands, which probably would have been a huge completion, and he dropped it. Freaking dropped it.
Yeah, so this is Monday night, so did you watch the Manning cast?
I did not.
So Eli Manning was just like, he just threw some hard shade on Russell Wilson. He was like, yeah, I probably should have paid that punter $235 million instead of Russell Wilson. And I'm like, honestly, like, Russell Wilson doesn't look good. Like, maybe it's just how good that defense is, the 49ers defense, but
I don't think the Broncos have scored over 23 points in a single game yet. I mean, their defense is locking it down, but I know that they're also dealing with a couple injuries. But it just seems like when Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon can't get a running attack going, then this offense just kind of falls to shambles,
Same with the 49ers.
Yeah. I mean, the Denver Broncos have a good running back duo. Melvin Gordon's, he's kind of declined as he's gotten older, but he's still like a pretty good running back. And then Javonte Williams is one of the better younger running backs. But, like, when they can't get it going, then it's just kind of relying on Courtland Sutton, in my opinion, because Jerry Jeudy is pretty inconsistent. He's a great route runner, and when he catches the ball, he's fast, and he can make people miss and score touchdowns, but he drops it a lot. They've got issues.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to think about the Russell Wilson-led Broncos. But let's get into a slightly more exciting game, Monday night.
All right, so we have the Dallas Cowboys led by Cooper Rush traveling to New York to play the New York Football Giants.
Dan, who did you pick to win this game?
I picked the Giants. I was so confident. I was like 3-0, baby, 3-0.
In our previous episode, I said I would eat a brick of shit if the Giants went 3-0. But then we made a spicy bet, literally. Yep. I picked the Cowboys to win. And Dane picked the Giants, and loser has to eat a habanero pepper on our next recording. So, Dane, how fun was that?
Oh, that's fine. Jake and I, we've done a lot of hot food challenges in the past. Back when we were recording the Cannonballs podcast and kind of just loose end, whatever the hell we wanted to talk about before we made it a football podcast, we do challenges like this. So,
I think we should continue to do that.
You know what? I'm down. I don't really like eating just a raw habanero, but I'll freaking do it. I don't care.
Who does, bro?
Let's get into the game. It was a very defensive game in the beginning. I think the score at halftime was 6-3.
Yeah, it was a snooze fest.
And then New York took a lead for a little bit, and then Dallas came back and won it. Unfortunately, I was celebrating my fiance's birthday for a fourth time because this time it was with my parents, so I didn't get to watch too much of the second half. So, Jake, I'm going to have to let you take this one away a little bit more than me.
Yeah, honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised of both these teams. I did not have faith in Dable, or whatever. Is it Gable or Dable? I don't know.
Dable.
I think it's
a D. D.
All right, so Dable. I didn't think he could help Daniel Jones out, but Daniel Jones hasn't looked that bad, or he at least didn't look that bad in this game. So yeah, like you said, the Giants went up, took the lead, and then the very next drive, the Cowboys took the lead, and then the Cowboys played good defense. The Cowboys played good defense all game.
The Cowboys' defense is legit. And from what I could see offensively, Tony Pollard looks like he was breaking some runs. Ezekiel Elliott looked like like the rushing attack was what was helping Dallas this game. It looked good from what I saw.
Yeah. Tony Pollard rushed for 105 yards, and Zeke ran for 73. So, yeah, they both balled out. CeeDee Lamb got open a lot. He had a touchdown. He had actually a beautiful touchdown catch, and it was a beautiful touchdown throw. But the Cowboys remind me a lot of the 49ers. Really good defense and, suspect offense, even with Dak. And then the Giants, they were moving the ball. They just couldn't score. I think they had a blocked field goal.
They did. I think that was like the very first field goal attempt that they tried to make. It was blocked.
Yeah. So I think they just played a really good Cowboys defense, honestly. I think they'll win a lot more games than we think.
I was glad to see Kayvon Thibodeau back out there. It's good that that injury's not he didn't lasting too long into the season. He didn't look that great. Yeah,
I don't think he made a single play, if I'm being honest. Let me look real quick.
While you're looking at that, I think that's mostly just because of the injury. He got injured in preseason, so basically he's still working on the conditioning aspect of it again, kind of doing the rehab process. I think he'll make splash plays in the coming weeks for sure. Yeah. It's just going to take maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, for sure. I still not counting the guy out or anything. I just, I didn't hear his name like at all. He only made one solo tackle. But I wanted to bring up Evan Neal. He was rotating door tonight. You guys got to help him out. I know he's a top pick, but when you're going up against Micah Parsons, who is he's the defensive player of the year front runner right now to me. He's all over the place. He
had
monster.
More sacks just in the first 3 games than the entire Giants defense.
Yeah, he's an animal. And then I think what's his name? Lawrence, number 90 on the Cowboys. He was just getting after it. So yeah, you guys got to help him out. He is a rookie. He'll be fine, a couple years from now, but he's still a rookie going up against these animals on the defense. Saquon Barkley looked decent. Unfortunately,
I think it was just the defense from Dallas. Just they're good at stopping and preventing the rushing attack from getting going. So it forces teams to open the playbook to the passing attack. And unfortunately, they just didn't have too many offensive weapons in the passing attack against this Dallas secondary that really pulled through for them tonight. Dallas can hopefully manage these next couple weeks while Dak's out. I don't remember how long they said Dak's out. I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks.
He said they might be back next week.
What?
Against the or is it next week? Because they were saying
I thought it was a surgery that was going to take like 6 to 8 weeks. Really?
Yeah,
he's already expecting to be back?
They're saying the Commanders, and that's next week. So the next time they play the Commanders is at the end of the season. So he said there's a possibility, or the announcers for the game were saying that there's a possibility for him to return next week, which is crazy because they were only without him for 2 games. And lucky for the Cowboys, man. But yeah, it was kind of a boring game, not too entertaining. If you guys haven't, go watch the Manning cast because it's so much better than Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. It's like 10 times better. If you haven't, Dane, I suggest you do it because it's very entertaining.
I will have to check it out, definitely. Yeah. But Jake, you always usually ask me if you were going to summarize this week in one sentence, what would it be? Because I have this week summarized in a single word for myself.
Pain.
Pain, yes. Pain.
This is like week where teams that should have won didn't again. I think it was just a sloppy week too. Like some of the top teams just looked sloppy. Even the Bills, they didn't look. I think they played, their first really good matchup, and it showed. So I hope the Bills will figure it out. I know they will. I know all these teams that are good who lost this week, they'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I think I'll just say sloppy. It was a sloppy upset week. So, What was your favorite game of the week?
Ooh, favorite game of the week? I would probably have to give that one to, if I'm being honest, either the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings or the Atlanta Falcons and Seahawks.
Yeah, that one was fun. It was constant scoring for the Falcons Seahawks.
Buffalo, Miami also. I don't know what it was. I just liked watching. I like watching Detroit, man. Detroit's a fun team to watch this year. They make things happen.
Yeah, I like them too. I like the Seahawks Falcons game. That one was fun for sure. Definitely the worst game of the week was the 49ers game.
I wouldn't say it was the worst one of the week. I would say that was probably the Green Bay Tampa game, in my opinion, because I don't know.
Yeah,
it's probably because I don't really care about either of those teams personally. I got Erica's family and her brother and father are both 49ers fans, so I kind of root for them when they play. So,
and who else is a 49er fan, Dane?
No one else that I care about.
Oh, shit.
I'm just kidding, man. I'll always root for them when you're watching.
Hey,
as long as it's not against the Chargers.
Yeah. And, there's not a possibility for the 49ers and the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl this year, so. Should have stayed where the signs I ignored.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. Dude, I was so drunk when I was texting you all that stuff. Just Akon lonely.
Yeah, Dan was going through it last night. And
I think the worst part is our fantasy group chat. Like, I haven't even responded this week just because I'm so sick of everyone. It's like everyone just, because if you guys don't know this, my fantasy team is the worst team this year. I've made it to the championship 2 years in a row, and then this year, my football life, other than this podcast, is shit. My team is disappointing me. My fantasy team's disappointing me. My Pick'ems league is disappointing me.
Dude, I'm 3-0 in our fantasy league, and I'm 2-1 in my other one, and then I'm 1-2 in another one, and but yeah. So my fantasy, I'm doing okay, but my football teams, I mean, the 49ers always do this to me. And then Notre Dame's
last year, and then they still made it to the championship game, so you never know.
Yeah. So I'm not. That's why I'm not panicking with the 49ers. I think they'll be fine, but I think there's. Yeah, I would be too if I was a Chargers fan, and I'm sorry to say it.
Yeah, that's sense, man.
Yep, football, baby, football. All right, Dan, let's wrap this bitch up.
Yeah, anyway, guys, thank you again for listening. My God, this one almost went for an hour and a half. Thank you again. As we already said, if you are still listening to this, I don't know why you would be, because Jake and I just started rambling on about nothing. But yeah, just like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend. We appreciate it. 5 minutes, the whole deal. Click that bell notification if you want to know when we post stuff. Also, follow us on Instagram at Cannonballs with a Z _podcast. I'll post a challenge on there in case you want to see me do the habanero challenge. I'll probably do it on the YouTube video as well. But, Jake, you have anything else to say?
No, just thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. And, kind of a slow start for the NFL season. Nothing too exciting, I would say. I think there's been
just sloppier than it usually is.
I will say this, there's been more pleasant surprises with teams. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So we'll get into it on our power rankings, but thank you again for listening. And as always, peace.